Done.
We have made it to Tier 6. Everything now, everything before this, we actually had a story for, an idea, what they looked like, anything. These are the characters that we don't really know much about. Even some of these guys have models and stuff. You see, back in about 1922, I think, the Pilgardria electric plant was going to use the Mid-Sodal Railway to transport its materials to get to the electric plant to actually build it and stuff. Though they found out the machinery was far too big to fit under the Mid-Sodal's clearances. So, with that, not working, they built a branch line from Kildane up to Pilgardria from the northwestern, which eventually spelled doom through the Mid-Sodor. And this was ran by electric engines, which do appear in the background of one story, and that's about it. Oh, they are mentioned in Thomas and his friends, as Gordon sped into the electric. So basically, Gordon went to Kildane, and then he hears an electric engine, and he's like, "Oh, what are you? Oh, I didn't hear you coming. How strange." And that's it. That's all we know. We don't even see them. Never see them. Now, Wilbur and Christopher had their own reasons why not to, include electric engines. As Wilbert famously says, you know, well, they're dull. They haven't got any personality. Like worms. And Christopher said that all the stories take place on the western side of Sodor. I think the Scarlet Engines would like to have a conversation with you about that. So we know engines like these are used the freight traffic nowadays, but for passenger traffic, we have no idea. We don't even know how many there are. We don't know who originally ran the line, but one technically does appear. More bad days for Thomas and his friends. One electric engine does appear. I don't think this is canon, but this is the only ever time we see an electric engine. I love it's so dopey. Look at it. Look at it. That's it. That is the only electric engine we ever see. Look at it. It kind of looks like this thing. Which, fun fact, this engine I don't know the name of, was actually christened the name, Reverend Audrey. So there's an engine named Audrey. So this could be one of the engines, or freight traffic passengers. The thing is, these engines are quite new, only built in this century. So who ran the railway when it first opened? No idea. Could have been engines like these, very ugly looking engines. They remind me of crocodiles. But Great Britain didn't really have too many electric engines back then. Through the new Island of Sodor book, we learned that there's a new Chromosgate Perization Society, and their first engine was Neil, gifted by Sir Topham Hatt. But also, in recent times, they've gained a second engine, named Aubrey, the Well Tank. Now, this is probably what she looked like. Well tanks are engines that have the water under the cab, like Christopher explained, and he will explain more about this engine, like where it came from and where to go. But basically, the water is stored about here. Though the water supply is not that great, though engines there weren't many standard gauge versions of this. There is this one, I think the name is the King, which I quite like. But then you have Reneus. Reneus is a well-taken locomotive. Reneus, much as Jennings all them, well-taken locomotives. Like Dalgok. So yeah, we don't know much about this engine or where it came from. Now, Unlucky Tug has theorized that this could be an engine that helped construct the Northwestern Railway, as we are aware, these are rural cryptids, we are aware that there are several contract locomotives, unnamed, that came to Sodor and helped construct the main line before Thomas and Edward appeared, or at least before Thomas appeared. Edward, he arrived at 14, so probably before and during when Edward first arrived. though were all scrapped or went back home by the time Thomas arrived and everyone else. And then after this, Aubrey was one of these engines and went to Crow's Gate Works and shunted there. Though Retrojet has theorized that it could have been a Kirk Ronin engine, as we don't know who runs that. Overall, very interesting engine, and hope to see more about Audrey in the future. Since the very beginning of the series, the big station at Knapford, Vickerstown and Knapford, always had a pilot engine. First it was Thomas, then when he went on his branch line it was James, then when the tender engines got tired of shunting it was Percy, then when he went to go work at the docks it was Duck, and then he went to work on his branch line, and then we have no idea. Christopher Audrey said a few years, engines like, in the TV series we have many engines, Philip, Rosie, Charlie, Stafford was the main one for a while until Philip showed up, and even Christopher Audrey said that could be the case. But in the railway series, we don't entirely know. But he did actually reveal in the new book that it is a pannier tank engine, and that's all we know. So it could be one of many different engines. Again, he hasn't told us much, but hopefully we'll find out soon. Could be another, a duck, basically, but hopefully not, as I think a pannier would be boring. I like this one a lot. Very fan head canning one, kind of something like this. Very interesting locomotive. There's actually one of them preserved. I don't know the name of the class. Also, Brendam push pulls. We know Edward's branch line is run by two engines, Boko and Edward, but they are no means the only engines. It states in the Island Soda book that sometimes they are substituted by other push-pull locomotives. Now, push-pulling is like what Thomas is. It's basically you have an engine up front that goes to the station one way, but then on the way back they don't have to turn around because they have controls from the coaches that will allow the driver to basically walk to the front coach with the windows, back coach, and then drive the engine from there, and it just goes backwards. There are many engines like that, like Oliver is a push-pull, or the Ginties and stuff like that, or even Arthur. Make of that information with what you will. Though again, we don't know anything about. We don't even know if these engines are real. They could just be like Thomas or Oliver. We just know there are like push-pull services on the branch line. We don't know who it's done though. We don't know who does it. We don't know how many. There could be anywhere between 1 to 20 different of these little engines running the branch line. We don't know.
Howdy, partner. Excuse me, coming through. Pardon me. Follow me, partner. Bufferville. Just a walking through, Lily. There, little blue bucker.
Well, there's a tumbleweed in Thomas and Friends. You probably forgot about this guy. In Thomas and the Magic Railroad, there is a talking tumbleweed that no one talks about. Who just bounces around. He talks. He has a very American accent. No one talks about him. He has been memed on a few times. I actually found this one video, which the guy actually talks about why, it's weird. A talking tumbleweed that no one talks about. And this guy even mentions it. So, he has a Texan accent, which means he came from Texas and went up to the UK somehow on a Magic Railroad. Why is there a talking tumbleweed? I don't know. I don't know. Why is there a So the tumbleweed did not actually, it was not meant to appear in the original draft. But, in the original draft, it was just a random tumbleweed. Why did they put a tumbleweed in the... Why? Why would you do that? So then later on, they added voice lines. Because apparently... So originally, they weren't gonna... They had put a tumbleweed in the movie, filmed it, but didn't have him speak. Then the writers had a big brain idea and decided to have him talk. So, yeah, there's a tumbleweed. That's pretty stupid. Oh, wait, I have a tumbleweed. That's right, folks, I do own a tumbleweed. So, yes, this tumbleweed from Thomas Magic Railroad I actually own.
It would be completely ridiculous if I had my own talking tumbleweed. Isn't that right, Tumbleweed? You would be surprised
Hello, Mr. Tumbleweed.
to know that I've had this laying around. Not the only one in the box. And these things are everywhere, as I happen to live in the town of Tumbleweed, New Austin. Yeah, so paparazzi come. It would be completely ridiculous.
Also, I happen to live in the town of Tumbleweed. Fun fact, I live in the state of New Austin in the town of Tumbleweed. And this is my humble abode right here. This is where I live. So if you're ever curious about where I live, yeah, come here. The address is Tumbleweed, New Austin. It's been nothing special, of course. Rent's pretty cheap. I mean, there might be a little blood right there. This is my desk. This is where I film all my videos. You know, good time all around. You know, I do love this YouTuber, and it's always great to have another Clippy around. Isn't that right? Right, I changed that. Glenville's still coming out, I promise. The movie's coming out. It's just taking a while. Anyway, the Markland engine. You see, the Markland engine is one of those many background characters, Thomas and Friends, that you may not know about. The engine from season 1 you never knew about. So basically, when they were making the TV series, they bought this engine. I'm not sure why this engine in particular, but they bought this engine to pull good strings in the background of scenes to make this sort of feel more alive, as that at this point they had Thomas, Edward, Gordon, Henry, James. So by season 1, they had like 5 engines. Sure, Percy and Toby kind of showed up at like the later stages, but yeah, but by season 2, they had a lot more engines. Especially like Mavis was one of their favorites to use. And so they kind of retired the Markland engine and actually just used them. But yeah, the Markland engine is actually a German design. You can see him in the background like right here, right here, right here. There's a nod to him in The Adventures Begins. Right here. So actually, he does appear in the CGI series twice. We get the second appearance, but he does briefly appear in The Adventures Begins as a nod. And just appears in the background. You can catch him and see him right here. Again, why this model in particular, I do not know. It's also German design, so how did Sir Tom get him over there? I have no idea. But again, yeah, it's just interesting, this like unknown engine. But once engines like Toby and Duck and all of them showed up, you don't really need this engine anymore. Also, parts of him are used for Donald and Douglas. I think his buffers were used for Duck. His chassis was used. I mean, yes, part of him was scrapped. Like his smoke box was scrapped. But yeah, Percy's like running board was his. Bill and Ben's running boards were his. Splatter and Dodge's wheels, so was Toby's wheels. You can actually see the red under it. And there's one scene you can actually see is just the random, his just chassis just going there. Also, some of his parts were used for City of Churro. And his buffer beam was used for Boko and Daisy. And Thomas's broken buffers. And there's even a nod to him in the Blue Mountain Mystery. We actually see the scrapped Markland engine. It means he was in canon scrapped, unfortunately. He's dead. But yeah, the Markland engine, there were many Markland engines, like a lot of them, all over Germany. Very contracting engines. Very good ones. And that's all we really know. That's the Markland engine. He's actually a very fan favorite character. You see him in like Tedious Tales. He appears and a lot of other stuff. He's also one of the very few characters in the series what doesn't have a face. As far as we're aware, he is faceless. Now we're going to talk about a blue evil brother. Not you. Nope. Boko. Yes, Boko has an evil brother. You see, Boko is one of the nicest engines in Soda. We all know Boko. We all love Boko. Boko's the greatest. Bring Boko back. He's part of this diesel line that I'm unfortunately not know the names of because I don't know I don't know diesels, okay? I don't care about diesels. Like Audrey. Anyway, these things sucked. And there were many of them. Like, one is preserved today in real life. So, you know, including Boko, that makes 2 of them are still alive. Now, Boko is, what number is he? He's a number. But fun fact, Boko does have an evil brother. When Oliver was making his grand escape to the Western country, they made, Western country. They made, many diesels searched for him. They had to hide in sightings. And a certain engine can be seen, a blue Boko. There was only one of these engines in real life, D5701. Boko is D5702. This engine didn't last long. It was actually scrapped. But yeah, so Boko had a blue evil brother who chased down Oliver. Pretty creepy stuff. Now, of course, this engine was scrapped, as there was only one to ever wear BR Blue. But there is one still around today. And Boko, of course.
this engine's very interesting, because again, I mean, the frightening, like having to sit behind the mud bank, being terrified because diesels are hunting you. But yeah, that would have been, that's crazy. Moko has an evil brother. Probably more of an estranged evil brother, like a brother you don't really talk about, you don't like. That would have been a weird conversation. Sorry, Oliver, that my brother tried to kill you. This is an interesting one. So Stephen tells his tales about how, the first engines were built. How originally they had horse-drawn railways, so horses would pull carriages or engines, and as engines evolved, of course it was, 1801, there was a few locomotives that failed, and then sometime later there was another guy who made more, I'm sorry, I don't know names. And then there was the Rainhill Trials. Now these engines always fascinate me, as you have these two guys, the Rainhill Trial engines, and then Stephen. And how Stephen won by going about, I think it was 24 miles an hour was his record, but 15 on the average. So you have these two locomotives guys who were part of the Rainhill Trials. It's really cool stuff, have you learned, oh, hey, Titanic, you're here, there's nothing left to fear. And, I love this section. Go watch King of the Railway, how they explain engines and stuff. But the engines I am most interested in are these guys. These two guys. You got Green Steven and Coffee Pot looking engine. They're so weird looking. Now, they're based off two other real engines that I do not know the names of because I don't know names. As you know by now, I'm so sorry. But yeah, they were built. So during the Rainhill Trials, there were 10 entries, including these three guys, which are the most famous ones. Another engine, kind of a coffee pot looking design, if you will. A horse, and the quadruped, where I had two horses on a wagon, which would still drive the thing, and 4 other engines that never made it. I think 2 were lost in the ocean, 1 was never completed, and 1 was destroyed in a wagon wreck. Again, these engines are very interesting. Go research the Rainhill Trials. Even this guy, this is one of my favorite YouTubers of all time. He made this smudging movie. Go watch him. He made this video showing this. And honestly, a good video, watch this. And he kind of just shows the Rainhill Trials. It's 200 feet. And both these engines just broke down, which is kind of funny. Good models, too. And I even made my own. More upon them. Oh, yeah, probably. Come now, tell you. It didn't actually happen like that. I explode. I'll have you be like, hey, that's about that. This is fun. I knew this like 3 years ago. Kind of sucked. But well, it's fun. I thought we do it. Look at that chain. Fun fact, I still have that necklace. Use as Lord of the Ring. No one really brings that ring up, It's a Lord of the Rings ring that I had 5 people in my entire history of wearing this necklace, which I've had it for 4 years now. Bring it up. Yeah, it's a pretty cool necklace.
Whenever Thomas and Emily went back to the smelter's yard, they knew there was nothing to be scared of. After all, there is no such thing as ghosts.
This is a fun. I love
it. It was all silly make-believe.
Wait, is that a ghost? Yes, there's a little ghost that appears in this episode. It's comedic effect. It's funny because there's no such thing as ghosts, and then there's a ghost. We don't know anything about this ghost. It kind of looks sad. Yeah, this is a ghost. Not a ghost of a train, it's a ghost. I don't know what to say about this guy. I know I meant to explain this, but in Thomas and Friends, I think it's season 8 or season 9, Halloween, there's a ghost. Now, I have this DVD. I got it years ago. I love this DVD so much. Has some of the best movies on it. You can read the titles. Yeah, this is the best. But yeah, there's a ghost in Thomas and Friends.
Thomas's Lost Brothers. On the island of Sodor, there are a whole bunch of dead trains everywhere, as we've already mentioned, but some of these look eerily similar to Thomas. Which, outside the universe, they were just using engines like Thomas as moldings for the scrap engines. But it makes you wonder, in universe, are these Thomas's real brothers? that just littered across Sodor. We see Thomas is based off an E2 tank engine, which was a real kind of engine. There were 10 of them. Now, the first 4 had the, like, not the extended side tanks, and the other 5, sorry, first 5, and then you have the other 5 that had the extended side tanks. Ro kind of talks about them. But does this imply, as, you know, people like the Unlucky Tug made his timeline video, and explained how the Far Cry branch was eventually run by engines like Thomas, and they were all eventually riffed on and scrapped, and Thomas was like the last one standing, until he survived from Northwestern, but the others were scrapped, which is pretty hard, it's pretty terrifying, as these are like the equivalent of the coffee pots. Now, of course, in-universe, this doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense to me. Wouldn't that imply in-universe City of Churl was scrapped on Sodor? Right, these guys were just set dressing, but it's creepy nonetheless. Now, this guy interests me.
There was something unusual on the track up ahead. Something big.
Oh!
I had nightmares about this thing,
or
legit
a
nightmares.
clothesline. It could only be one thing.
God, they're so scary. It's alive!
There's no such thing as monsters! There's no such thing as monsters!
Yeah, they are. I have nightmares about this kid.
Percy
Listen to
just
Diesel 10
wanted
for
to
my
get
greatest
back to the
fears.
sheds as quickly as his little
Now we're
wheels.
more important things, like water. Very important fear to have. This is just hilarious. So what this creature, sorry, this is nostalgic. This is prime time when I was alive. Actually, I would have been like, what, 8 when this movie come out, but, I love this thing. It's like, it's so strange looking. It has like a Marion Steve Shovel arm. That's what happened to Ned. Like a water wheel nose thing. It's so strange. And look what it does. Like watch this.
It could only be one
The
thing.
person bumps into it. Then it stops. Then swings its arm over person. How does it do that?
There's no such thing as monsters!
Like I understand that this thing could have been like,
It could
because, you know, Percy bumps into it. So he bumps into it. But then kind of pauses, so it's still kind of shaking. And then it moves its arm. Why does no one talk about this thing? This is not classic, because if this was from like the classic era, this would have been like the hottest stuff. Everyone would talk about this. But like, I think it's meant to be Percy's imagination, this would have been so creepy if this was about Percy's perspective. Some of the CGI did wrong was not enough. Like when they try to make creepy episodes, they always explained it, you know. Like when it comes to like Percy in this thing, we saw James' perspective, which does kind of work, but like, what is this thing? Because everyone would be terrified. Also, they had a great one in row 8 that I need. I love this. I mean, it's so stupid looking. That's a take and play toy. And then, of course, we find out it's James later. He basically appears. It was one of Reg's creations, one of his masterpieces. James was meant to take it to be melted. It's at a bus. There's like a bus door missed down the rescue for some reason. Anyway. Yeah, but then James leaves that a line for a prank, and then Percy gets scared. And, you know, it reminds me of this video. Also, if anyone wondering, this isn't a ghost, that's just Stanley. And will everyone remember this song? Just around the rocks and dunes. Be brave, must be bolder. There's no need to step around. Monsters everywhere, hiding in the trees. Just around the park, pulling in the fog. Blowing in the wind, monsters everywhere, doing as they please. They try to scare you. Look out, they're all about where. Look out, they're all about where. That's not so scary.
Oh, that's not so scary.
The greatest line ever. Wait,
Oh, that's not so scary.
hear that again.
Oh, that's not so scary.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's not so scary.
The way he delivers it is so funny. We listen to that again.
Oh, that's not so scary.
Why does he say it like that?
Oh, that's not so scary.
Also, oh, that's not so scary.
Oh, that's not so scary.
That is still scary. Why did they use the scrap monster? The scrap monster is so, it's had a shack on it. It's so, I mean, come on, this looks terrifying. If you saw this in real life, this is terrifying, right? God, someone make a model with this. I need to see this in model form. I need to see a classic episode of this. Somebody use the scrap monster. The scrap monster is so great. Okay, I wish people would use it more. Oh, hi, Gator. Yeah, it's fun. In the book, Thomas and the Tiger, you can see a strange engine in the old abandoned shed, which, like, that shed is kind of, that's pretty screwed up. We don't know anything about this engine. It's a 2 something something something. Looks like a tender engine. Not sure how it fits in the shed. I don't know why they drew an engine in here. We can tell this wheel here that's it's weird. It's creepy. You also see this little miniature engine, or this other engine. This could actually be the engine. This other reminds me of a different red engine that belongs to the dome of. This is interesting. You know, judging on this engine, also I want to add, Christopher Audrey did mention in his book that this engine, basically, like, bless his man's soul, but I want to know, but he basically said that, how about you, the fans, have a story for this engine? But you know, this could be this engine, and this engine looks like Elizabeth Studios, great guy, but I think this is a perfect settlement to explain this video, and he talks about this engine. Now, fans have been debating this engine, like how they're making different kind of bases, like how this is a 460, but it's not. It's actually a 4.6. Let's 2.8. You see right here? That's not a tender. This is a tank engine. This isn't a tender. This is a tank engine. Because I couldn't draw a train. This is a 4.6.8. Which I don't need to say, but does not exist. Why did they draw it a double tone? I don't care. Oh yeah, this train does not exist. Nope. Also, this engine we see in the shed is not this engine. These two red engines in the original story, like original illustrations by this guy, they're the same engine, but they're actually by Dolby different engines. We should take Dolby as canon as much. Now, this engine has been christened the name Not James, as it looks just like James, but you notice this engine has red wheels and a red dome, and James has black wheels and a gold dome. Now, there have been many sightings of the Not James phenomenon, like in the first book, the second book, the third book. Well, the first book is the three railway engines. The second book is called the tank engine. The third book is James the Red Engine. And then I think it's the fifth book, Troublesome Engines, which an engine which is told as James, like the animal fair. But if you notice, not by the illustrations, but by the fact of this engine, yeah, we see Gordon and Henry were not picked because they were kind of being, evil engines, but James also was not being very kind, so I don't say it's James. Now, if these two engines would say were brothers, twins perhaps, go watch Elizabeth Studios, then, you know, we can confidently say that these might actually be the same, like, to say, this engine that I mentioned, to say, Audrey's first visit was in 1942. Now, they say he got this story from someone who thought these two engines were, like, they were interchangeable, basically the same, when I said the little differences. And so the person thought that that was James, and so it was said as James. Also, this engine's last known appearance is in Henry the Green Engine, which includes this engine, which is, it is the same engine, but this time it has a brass dome. Also, I forgot to put this in, but in some illustration of some book, I don't know which one it is, but it shows an illustration of Duck and this engine, which kind of throws this theory out the window I'm about to explain, but yeah, I just found that out. I don't know what illustration or book it's from, but that's interesting. Because this is 1935, and this engine must be going for Audrey's Bible, unless your illustration, which we'll get to that. I don't know. We don't know much about this engine. But there's a theory that this engine went off the war, because again, it survived at least 12 years after the other engines were sent packing for being root forward engines. Now there's this incident about, like, this engine that blew up. So maybe this engine was out in the war, or two simulation trains around, and ended up was destroyed. So basically, the reason we don't talk about this engine isn't because you know, it's a horror root engine. The reason we do not talk about this engine is the fact that something perfectly bad happened to them, and that they will talk about this engine. Also, don't worry, drawing the lines is always bothered me. Again, there are many things we can explain about the Not James series. Either this engine is a brother to James, or a twin perhaps, which I insist in the name Jesse on twins. So you have James and Jesse. No particular reason why I christened the name Jesse for this engine, but I think Jesse is a fitting name for this engine. And if you're into your cowboy lore, you'll understand why. I'm a cowboy fan, you know. There's also other theories for this engine, like it is not James. So basically, in some illustrations, they use a James stand-in for unknown reasons, which is why there's a second James, which seems slightly bigger than the original James, and it had a different paint color scheme. Another theory is the Dolby theory, which is the Dolby was hiding Easter eggs in the illustrations, which is not a very popular theory, but it could be a theory for class that I think about. Another less popular theory is not James, is the James we know, and true James is this James. Or how there's a third James, which is the Black James, and then we have not James and the true James. Now the true James is most considered is this engine. Sorry, so the James we know is the true James, and this is the not James. So again, the theory I mentioned how this engine could be considered the true James, and that other James, which came after, is known as the not James, or the James replacement, like the Henry theory. Which there's another far less popular theory that could be something called illustration mistakes and non-consistency. But this is a very unpopular theory and does not make much sense when you look into it. A fat controller. Now we all already know about the fat controller. Hey, look at Gordon. Hey, what does that say? Hey, look at the map of Sodor. We know about the fat controller. He's a stern but fair man.
The book even hints at this by referring to them as a fat director rather than the fat director.
A fat director who was on the train. A fat director. A fat director.
You see, in the book Henry the Green Engine, the fat controller was well, he's known as a fat controller, and he is characterized strangely. You see, in this book, Henry decides to stay in the tunnel. Now, the fat controller makes everyone pull, and he does not pull himself. He makes everyone push from behind. How did they get over? He does not push himself. He gets a second red engine to come and push the train out. He does not push himself. Then he bricks Henry up in a tunnel. Do not laugh. And doesn't do it himself. Now, the fat controller we know is a fair man. But how does this make sense? So basically, you keep the very expensive train and very expensive coaches in the tunnel, break up both sides, send all the passengers home, probably have a bunch of refunds, then spend God knows how much money, time, and men to bore a second tunnel, and then build tracks through that, probably shutting down the railway, making it a true island. It's just so stupid. It is stupid. So stupid. Now, our fat controller we know, worked with engines and stuff. He built the coffee pot, so he's not, we see him many times. He does not care about getting dirty. He will take off his coat and shovel a train. He does not care about being dirty. Which means this man right here, we also don't see his face, but this man right here is not the fat controller that we know, because he's not even that fat. This is a doppelganger. Who this fat controller is, where did he come from, where did he go, where did he come from, where did he go, is unknown. I remember Halloween, dead cats hanging from poles, met in islands, spin and pole. How does that go? I remember Halloween. I wish I remember lyrics and stuff.
Hear tales of ghostly engines and scary steam trains. hear tales of ghostly engines and scary steam trains. I hear tales of ghostly engines and scary steam trains.
Halloween, Halloween. This is the engine I call the Calliope engine. It's a weird looking engine using the shell of Gordon and the chassis of Henry as a ghost engine that appears about 9 seconds in the episode Halloween that we already covered. It is it's very ripped up, covered in rust. It seems to be maybe a 260. The cab is destroyed, and it has a lantern that works, and the numbers NW on the side. Locals Online used this version, the Halloween. You can see its buffers is broken. It is clearly a 210O NE. I was right, with a 6-wheel tender. Tender's rusted and old. When I think about it, where did Henry get those tenders from? Because doesn't Duck have like 7 tenders? So that's a mystery for another day. But yeah, this engine, rusted, broken running board. Its boiler is cracked, looks like exploded. The whole cab is bent. The running board is destroyed. The funnel is melted. This engine was clearly killed. It's not even faceless. This is what it looks like compared to Gordon. This is what it looks like compared to I don't know, Kirk or something. I don't know. This guy's weird. And this is what it looks like next to Sam. Very interesting engine, very creepy indeed. Creepy guys, showing out. I'm sorry why the audio sucks so much. I have no idea why maybe I'm yelling too much. The audio is not being the greatest today. In the book, the monster under the shed, which I am gonna purchase, so I'll do that later. We see a strange blue engine that looks very strange. It's a 240 open cab. I looked it up, and I think this is meant to be Edward or Thomas misdrawn, but I don't think so. This is clearly meant to be a known little engine that is so strange. I mean, it's in northwestern blue. It's actually kind of creepy. Like who is this engine? We don't even see its face. Like it was haunted by a shed, ran off, it was never seen again. James tells the story, so he knew something about it. He has 2 domes, and we don't even see his face. Very creepy. Now there has been re-editions of this, where the engine was actually christened the name Howin, after the river where he drowned. Very interesting engine, very cool, honestly, and I just like having an engine that like we hear a story about, and they said we don't know anything about him. We don't know his name. We don't know anything about Howin. I mean, that's the name he was given, but we don't know much about him. But it's just kind of creepy, you know. In the season 5 episode, Duncan Gets Spooked, Rusty tells a story about the engine. Now, first up, it was originally meant to be Duke. It was later Rusty in the actual show itself. But it is meant to be Duke, which I think we should take it as Duke, which is why it's called Duke's Ghost Engine, as they didn't want to rebuild Duke, so they used Rusty for some reason. But it literally only makes sense if Duke tells it. I'll explain why in a moment, and also explain much more in my mid-shoulder video I'm going to make soon. Probably going to start production on that, like, tomorrow.
A funnel quiver, Rusty said. A long time ago, a little engine was returning home.
So creepy, I love it.
It was a misty, moonlit night.
That music!
Suddenly, the engine lost control and plunged over the side into the swamps below.
The only engine to kill on screen, folks! First and only one to ever be totally killed on screen. We just want someone to die! And
he was never found again. But many a workman will tell you that when the moon is full, they have seen the little engine trying to get home. But he never reaches the other side.
So damn creepy. I love that so much. And then Duncan later gets super spooked. He sees Did you hear that? I just jumped. Now if you heard that, it's like 10 at night right now. I'm doing some late night voice acting. I couldn't be bothered to do it earlier. I am creeped out. Had some relationship stuff earlier, so yeah. Not gonna bore you with that, but yeah, I got back with someone, we'll say. Shoot, whoa, that was creepy. Anyway, Duncan sees a ghost that kind of looks like Rheneas. I guess it's the ghost of Smudger or something. Creepy stuff. And yeah, this engine, it looks like Skarloey, and we literally see it fall off the bridge and drown. We can actually see it is Skarloey's model, but it's not meant to be Skarloey. It's red. This is very strange. Now, basically, trying to understand this engine was my thing for so long, which, this is the model itself. They actually give them faces and all, because I figured it's easy to make faces. So you can clearly see, it's just, they didn't try too much. They did not try too hard. It just painted over Skarloey. Just painted him black with some rust details, and they gave him this grayer coat. It's quite terrifying, actually. Oh, that is crap. I love this so much. Now, I think they did revert it back, but I would love a model like this. I would love to have this model. I'm probably gonna. Actually, I didn't make. I'll get to that in a moment. Now, our boy Jet has actually figured out this engine. He thinks it's a mid-solar engine, maybe 8 or 9, and basically, its name was Fletcher, which I quite like. It was in this DVD that we love. This always stuck with me because it's so creepy. It just goes. Now I actually kind of explained it. In a short story, there was the Orleansville Tramway. They had 3 locomotives. I'm thinking the number 1 was this engine. Now when it was constructing the line, was the Woodland Bridge. He's not a Skarloey. So, it's some stupid theories have theorized that this engine is actually, it's Skarloey, or this is another Skarloey engine. But the really Italian thing, though, he never had an engine that followed the Woodland Bridge. It didn't a Skarloey thing, as Richard Jet put in his video. So it is 100% not a Skarloey engine. Some said it's Smudger, that's just stupid, it's not Smudger, and it's not Proteus. Now basically I'm thinking, and I'm still figuring this out, but maybe, so John and Jennings were number 3 and 4 of the railway. I can figure this out. But basically, these 3 were the 3 Orleansville Tramway engines. Now when it was constructing the line for the mid-solar, so this probably, I would say it probably fell anywhere between 1880 and 1885. So Duke, Duchess, and Bertram would have been on the line, maybe Crimson. And then proceeds to engines. And this engine would have been constructing the line, maybe running it, and it was never purchased by the mid-solar. Its early years are very, very complicated. Very complicated indeed, with all the purchasing and engines and stuff. So this engine was never actually owned by the mid-solar railway. And so, basically, it had an accident where it fell into an bridge. It and its driver and fireman. Its driver and fireman killed. And that was that for the engine. It was drowned. And it was just written off because it wasn't owned by them. They did not be sued by the families. And so they kind of just written it off and put it aside. And Duke is the only person alive who knows about it. Though they say in the unsort book, if you go to Old Bailey and pay him $5, they'll tell you the story of this engine. And an engine, an old rusty engine, that you can actually find the background of one illustration in the books and 2 or 3 different episodes. You see this old rusty engine driving through the streets, no tracks. It's a rusted engine, it's creepy. Any attempts to destroy it will fail. Either welding torches or self backfire, any attempts to jump on the train, mysteriously you fall off. There's never a driver fireman. And it's very few who see the face. End up seeing a haunted face, sometimes no eyes, or screaming at it. Expression screaming as it fell into the lake below. Terrifying whistle. It runs the old mid-solar tracks up at Moonlight Ridge, down to Allsdrop and around near Brushing Gold Mine and such. Though, once the Allsdrop was built, it stopped venturing those parts. It usually ventures between the months of August and January. It's a creepy mystery, and this engine has never stuck for a lot of people in many theories. Also, I did make my own models of these engines. These, my friends, might be the most cryptid locomotives in the entire franchise. So we all know about the Skarloey Slate Quarry. The main one at Skarloey, when engines would bring Slate up, and they would load them up and then bring them back down to the Port of Croman's Gate. Well, there's actually a second Slate Quarry, up by Rheneas. This kept the railway going after the first one closed down. I think this one also eventually closed down, though I don't entirely know. But this quarry is smaller and had better slate used for electric switchboards and stuff, which the Pure Goddard electric plant used a lot of. Again, helped it through the Skarlovi hard times, keep it afloat. Though this quarry had a fleet of small little locomotives, at least 2, probably more. We only know about this in like one lecture.
It's just a fun tidbit. I think in like one of the lectures, or it's in like a bit of writing about the Rennius Quarry, basically says there's like little electric locos that are at the Rennius Quarry.
The
it's just a...
There were 1 or 2 little battery locomotives at the Rennius Quarry. We don't know what they look like. We don't know what they look like. We just know they exist. So just a bunch of creepy little tiny electric locomotives that work out the quarries. Very creepy. We never see them. I assume probably number 9, it's like the chorus really number 9, or some like very. It's small. It's creepy. I find them very creepy, but they're not by no means the only locomotives on this line. There's one more engine that is far more cryptid. This engine, without a doubt, is a cryptid. Wilbert even describes it as a black beetle-like locomotive. You see, the main Skarlovi slate quarry basically went bust by the 1940s. It was dried up, and in the 1950s it was cleared out by Peter Sam, who would clear out the slate quarry, while the Ministry of Defense bought it. In 1960, the sale went through, and it became an MOD base. Now it has a double, it's surrounded by fence, but now it has a double locked fence known as Ministry of Defense, government property, keep out. Double against. And basically, if you go across this fence, if you stroll from Skarlovi, go across this fence, you will be shot. When engines on occasionally have to bring trucks up here, they leave the trucks on a siding and square away in fear, as a black, elusive, beetle-like locomotive comes out of the shadows. No one's ever seen it, because they all, scurry away. You don't go up there, you scurry away. The way Wilbur Aubrey describes the, current day operations of this base is pretty funny. They describe it like it's all like Sodor's Area 51. I mean, it's an engine. Yet he describes it like Area 51. It's funny. This is most likely something like this, or like these two. We know there were 2 locomotives that came to the Skarlovi Railway during World War II, which we don't know anything about them. They were the first locomotives on the line. The first 2 locomotives on the line are unknown and unnamed. Not diesels. The first 2 diesels on the island of Sodor are these 2. Quite funny. The first 2 diesels on the island of Sodor are 2 unknown Ministry of Defense diesels. But again, yeah, we don't really know. It probably looked like something like this is the Black Beetle locomotive. But again, no one we can talk to has ever seen this thing, right? I was gonna have the outro be in High Up in the Hills, but according to New Roblox Select, you can't play the train game. So the little baby train game is blocked for teenagers. But I can play the Mafia game, so I was gonna talk about this Mafia game. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I was gonna make this a super long video. I was gonna have like a 1-parter, then thinking, because my phone was starting to explode, and I didn't even finish tier 5, so I was thinking maybe like I could just, make maybe 2. I didn't want to make it a 2-parter, but I decided to. So I decided to just make all the tiers together, and I realized one tier was over 30 minutes. So I decided to make the 1-part video. So I posted the part 1, part 2, part 3, 4, 5. Now it's part 6. So this will be out. I'm going to make this on Sunday, but it should be out on Monday. So, thank you all for watching this series. It's been pretty fun. I've been working on this. This has been an idea I've had since Unlucky Tug's first sidetrack video, which I think was August or September last year. So it's almost been a year. Glenville's really pushed things aside. I had my own family drama, a lot of family drama, but I'm back now. Again, I got a few more videos I'm gonna make, and then basically stop there before I work my own TV show. And yeah, I just feel so happy and good to finally, make this video and all. It's very nice to make. I don't have too much to say. Subscribe if you want. If you made it this far, leave a comment. Never get enough comments. Leave some comments. I try to read them all. Subscribe. Leave a like if you want. Thank you for watching this series. Thank you for watching my channel. Love ya. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.